GM everyone, and a warm welcome to the code/data teardown. If you're just joining, thank you for joining. You can let us know where you're joining in from in the comment section. We'll be starting in a moment. All right, GM once again. So I can see a few persons in the chat. You're welcome from Worry. Okay. So my name is Onyi Obazi, and I'll be your moderator for today's session. For those joining us for the first time, welcome to the Analytic Sages community. We are a data upskilling organization helping people like you build real skills in SQL, Python, and blockchain analytics. And for those who've been here for a while, welcome back. You know what these sessions are really all about. So, for anyone who is new, this is where we take a real project built by community members, right? A community member, right? And then we tear it down line by line, query by query. So we look at what's the build, why the build is, how the code works, what insights the data they found, or the inside the rather reviews. So it's raw, it's real, and it's exactly how you learn to build like a pro. So it's not an initiative that will say, okay, maybe because you're a pro or you're a beginner, right, you will not be able to do it. No, we encourage each and every one of our community members, we're encouraged to come and then have like a tear down where those feedbacks and the Arbitrum ecosystem. Gloria has built SQL
GM, everyone. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Please, if you can hear me, just let me know in the chat box. All right, great. Um, can you see my screen? All right, great. Can you see my screen? All right. So I think my screen is visible, and we'll just get to it. So my name is Gloria Chimelu, and I'll be doing my data teardown presentation today. If you've been on this community, you know that these sessions like this help us to understand data. As an analyst, it is very, very important that you understand the reason behind your queries, why you are writing queries this way, and why you're writing queries this way, and the logic behind each of the queries, and eventually what makes up a dashboard. So, my presentation today is going to be very simple. It's beginner friendly, as you can already see. I think I've attended some sessions and we're used to very complicated dashboards, very rich dashboards. But today's one is going to be very simple. I have so my dashboard is on Arbitrum activity and user growth, and we can see from what I have five. I ran five queries. Yeah, I ran five queries and just put everything in a neat dashboard because I wanted to track activity and user growth basically. So and first of all, before I begin, let me thank Analytic Sages for this opportunity to be able to, do my tear down today. Analytic Sages has really helped me. I remember when I started out as a Web3 writer and I wanted to go into on-chain research. I didn't know how to do it. Somebody recommended Analytic Sages. I took the SQL course, went into the mentorship program, and I have learned a lot. As you can see, I started as a total beginner in data analysis. I do not have any experience with data analysis prior to when I enrolled in Analytic Sages. But today I can be able to do dashboards, I can be able to write in SQL, or thanks to Analytic Sage. So thank you very much, Analytic Sages. Okay. So this dashboard is going to be in SQL. Um, so why did I choose Arbitrum and why did I choose to look at the activity and user growth and dashboard? Why did I choose to look at activity and user growth? Um, so there was a conversation on Twitter 3 months ago that Arbitrum was one of the fastest growing L2s, and many of the projects that are coming up now, and I think we can testify to the fact that many of the projects that are coming up now are not really sustainable. So what happens when they launch their airdrop, and after they launch their airdrop, everything goes down. Their active users go down, their transactions go down. There's no activity. It basically becomes a ghost chain. Um, so Arbitrum has had an airdrop 3 years ago, and they are still active. They're still a very much used L2. I received a payment from a client recently, and I chose Arbitrum. Why? Because the fees were cheap compared to, as opposed to maybe receiving it on Ethereum. And it was also very easy for me to also send the money to my other wallet. It was less than a penny, as you would see on my dashboard too. I looked at the average fees. So that's why I chose Arbitrum. I wanted to do something I just wanted to look into the secret of. I just wanted to look into how is Arbitrum really healthy, because have some chains have a kind of, let's say, epileptic growth. So they have like growth spikes. They are hot. Let me use that word. In They are hot in a particular period of time, but after a particular period of time, we don't even remember that these chains exist. But Arbitrum has consistently existed for years, as we're going to see. And I just wanted to look into why and how, just to get a feel of what's really happening on the chain. So I will start with the basics. I'll just start with my dashboard before I go into my queries. Um so the all-time transaction on Arbitrum is 2.4 billion. Um 2.4 billion. And when I ran this query 3 months ago, when I began it 3 months ago, the transaction volume was 2.1 billion. So that means we have had more than 300 million transactions over the last 3 months on Arbitrum. That is a big number because there are some chains that have not gotten up to that lifetime value, and Arbitrum is doing 300 million transactions in just 3 months. That an average of 100 million transactions a month. That is a big deal, and it shows that the Arbitrum is one of the busiest blockchains that we have right now. And also, it shows that adoption is growing because if you were to use a chain, let's say, like if you use a chain, I don't want, because I don't have the data to back that. But if you use one of these newer chains, and you would check out their transaction volume and their, like, how users interact, you'd see that towards the airdrop or towards TGE, there will be a lot of volume, but after that, there are barely any users. And for Arbitrum to have this kind of transaction volume, um, here, and Arbitrum was launched in 2021, as you can see, around, yes, 2021, mid 2021. For them to have this transaction volume, and it's not just a spike. It's not just, oh, this happened prior to the airdrop. This happened. The transaction volume has continued to increase, and it is very interesting to watch. It shows that the chain is healthy, and yeah, it shows that the chain is healthy and it is battle tested for it to handle billions of transactions. So when you say Arbitrum has handled billion of transactions, it's not an exaggeration. The data is there to prove it. So the next thing that is this my counter is the weekly transaction, the average fee per transaction on Ethereum, on Arbitrum. And this is a very important thing because I'm sure none of us like to be overcharged, like to be cheated when we want to pay for something. If you know that you're going to get maybe shawarma for 3.5, you would not want somebody to tell you that there are charges of 1,000 naira on your transaction, or for you to buy shawarma, you have to pay an additional 1,000 naira. So your total bill is going to be 4.5. Um, so that is the same thing with the fees, and that's the logic I use to get the fees. This value is in Ethereum, the upper value is in Ethereum, and then the other value is in dollars. So this is less than a cent, and a cent, $100 make 100 cents make a dollar. So this is less than a cent. That it is very, very cheap. Is it cheaper compared to other chains? Yes. Is it cheaper compared to other L2s? They're usually in the same range. Other L2s like ZK Base, Optimism, they're usually in the same range. So it's cheap. So I just did like a bit of math so that we can visualize it. You would need to do about 101 transactions for you to be able to spend up to $1 in fees on Arbitrum. I mean, 100 transactions, even if you're sending, receiving, even though you're sending, bridging, swapping every day, about two transactions, you won't be able to get to $1 in a month. And that's really good because fees are something that help users to adopt a network. We have a very we have we have a very small percentage of people that are on chain, right? Most of the world is off chain. We are the ones that are on chain. And for us to bring people in, just like I said, if you want to introduce your friend to initial mass spot, but they have like a 1,000 naira additional fee. Maybe they call it maybe service charge or consumption tax or anything like that. They are likely not going to buy compared to a place where like they don't even have to pay any fees, or maybe oh it's just maybe just 15 naira extra for charges, and they are more likely to buy. So that's something that's hindered Ethereum, and that's something that L2s like Arbitrum seek to solve, because Arbitrum is a roll up on Ethereum. So it is able to encourage people to use Ethereum, but you are interacting with Arbitrum. So overall, you're still adding to the Ethereum ecosystem. Um, so that is that. Let's go into the bigger ones. So I'm going to start with the weekly fees in Ethereum. So I decided to go for Ethereum instead of the dollar value because Arbitrum, like I said, is built on Ethereum. So I decided to to measure the fees in Ethereum. And you can see that so the Arbitrum airdrop happened on March 23, 2023, and it is still one of the biggest airdrops, top five biggest airdrops that have ever happened in the crypto space. The biggest is Uniswap, per coin gecko data, but Arbitrum still remains top five. And it is interesting to see that even after you can see even after March, which is here, yes, even after March, which there was this surge happened around the airdrop period. We can still see that it was able to generate, it still was able to generate a lot fees in Ethereum even till late 2023. Although it has dropped, I mean, you can see after April 2024, it has dropped compared to what it was before um before the airdrop. But also it means that things are also cheaper on Ethereum now. Ethereum fees has consistently gotten cheaper. There was a time where people were paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for fees in Ethereum, but with upgrades, users are paying less. So as users are paying less, it will drop across board, not just on Arbitrum too. But it's also linked to people not using it as much, as we're going to see in this next visualization. So here you can see that Arbitrum was live in June 2021, and you can see that the daily active addresses were just 14. Um, but it steadily grew. This is the airdrop period (TGE), and you can see that there was a surge of active addresses on the 24th of March. That coincides with when the airdrop was launched. So it shows that a lot of people were using Arbitrum at that time. And but after that, there was a dip, which is normal because some people only came for the airdrop. But you can see it that in 2024 it began to rise again, and it peaked around May in 2024, and then but then it has just been declining, but it has been kind of stable. It has been kind of stable. Um, yes. So in 2024 we had a bull season, so that's another very important factor to consider when you're analyzing your data, is that we have bullish seasons and bearish seasons. So in bullish seasons, as we all know, more users, more transactions, more fees, everything is green, everything is blazing. But in the bear season, we've had quite a bear season, even though we've had a bit of a bull season last year, if you can call it that, but it hasn't been like the 2021, 2021 bull NFT era where everything was green and you were able to make money from crypto. If you held a coin, if you bought Dogecoin, if you had an NFT, it was almost certain you're going to make money, but that's not the case now. So that's very important when you're considering historical data, because what I did on in the last three visualizations I did was historical data. I didn't do like an interval of 30 days or 90 days. I looked at historical data. So the all-time daily active addresses, that is this visualization here, it shows us that the all-time daily active addresses shows us that it shows us the daily network participants, and it also shows us that Arbitrum was gaining traction and has relatively gained a bit of momentum. I mean, I would say that it's dropping. They're just spikes here and there. I feel that users are moving to other platforms, other newer ones. One that I think that users are using moving to is Base, because there's been a lot of activity on Base, and from what I checked, but it shows that the Arbitrum blockchain, the Arbitrum network is healthy. I mean, for it to have like sustainable growth over a year, sustainable active users without having like any rumors of airdrops or any incentives per se for users, it has been relatively stable. That shows it's healthy, and then it shows that there's also a demand for Arbitrum. And so let's go to the last visualization on the dashboard, and this is a daily transaction count on Arbitrum from 2021 2025. So like I said, I did historical data, not interval, because I wanted to zoom out. So I didn't just want to see, oh, this is 90 days, it has increased in 90 days. I wanted to see how it has done overall, to give me a more holistic view of how, because if you remember when I started, I said I wanted to see how sustainable Arbitrum growth was. So I don't just want to see like a spike or a steady rise over 90 days or 30 days without seeing how it has been able to do over the years. Arbitrum is 6 years. It's going to 6 years now. And if you are seeing consistent daily transaction count, that means they're doing something right. But this daily transaction count is also very important, because when I was doing my query, I did not filter for bots or agents. I think it's very important for us, as we are looking at data, to also consider the fact that there's an agent economy. People are using AI agents increasingly. I mean, we've heard about Moltbook, where it is social media for AI agents. So AI agents are active on the blockchain. They are bridging. People have their AI agents who bridge for them, who trade for them, who carry out transactions for them. And these AI agents will add to the transaction volume, because they are using what counts as a transaction volume. The transaction is coming from a wallet. Now, is that wallet operated by a human being or an agent? Is what we need to know, so that, because previously for bots, it was like, oh, if there are a lot of bots on the network, like I did analysis on BSc, I saw that there were a lot of like bots activity. It could be that people are just spamming, and it could also be like, oh, it's actually encouraging agents to use the network. But the transaction count, if you can see, it's steadily rising. I mean, in 2021, you can see transaction count is just 5,325. If we look at that number, we look at it in February, that's 3 million in February, 3 years after their TGE. That is impressive. It has been steadily rising, and I chose to use this particular visualization because I wanted us to see how it had improved over time. At a glance, you could be able to see that the transaction count has been steadily increasing. So yes, so the transaction count have been steadily increasing. Then we show that we are having growing usage on Arbitrum. So Arbitrum actually is growing in usage, and it's an efficient network, because it won't be having 3 million, 6 million transactions. This is daily transaction count, not even weekly. It's a daily transaction count. For a network to handle 6.5 million transactions in a day, show that it's efficient. And you can see the fees. Okay, I would go back to explain the fees in Ethereum, but you can see the fees in Ethereum are relatively small per week. And you've seen the amount of uh, dollars, it's not even up to a cent for you to do transaction. So imagine it's making 6 I'm handling 6.5 million transactions and I'm not even paying up to a cent for a transaction. It shows you how much we are making in fees. It's efficient for users. That's efficient for users. So I just wanted to check that we had the highest in on last month, on the third of last month, where they had a of trying to get the exact number of more than 10 million, more than 10 million transactions. It was a record number. That's not just a spike. Anytime there's a spike, there's a dip, which is normal, and then there's sustained activity, and then there's a spike, and then there's a bit of sustained activity. So it's a very good indicator of the ecosystem's health. So let's go to this one again, the weekly fees in Ethereum. So you can see the weekly fees in Ethereum have dropped. So transaction count is increasing, but the fees are dropping, meaning that the network is getting more efficient. And if Arbitrum has had upgrade, I think they had an upgrade last year too. And with better upgrades comes more efficiency. So, like I said, if people are using it a lot, there has to be something they're doing right. If they're able to have this kind of sustainable growth over time, that is something they're definitely doing right. So I'll open the query to the first counter that I have here, the first visualization I have here, all-time transactions for on Arbitrum. Let's see how I did it. So this one was just very simple. It was I use select count as total transactions from the table Arbitrum transactions. So it was very simple. Um as we know, when you were writing SQL, select from where, and then after you select, you write what you want to be selected. So from this table, I just wanted um from this arbitrum transactions table, I just wanted it to count all the transactions that were there, both send and receive everything. So very simple query, just 3 lines, and you could to that. So if you're looking to get into SQL or you're a beginner, you can do something as simple as this. Make a tweet about it, post it. If you're writing an article, you can do a simple query like this. It is your own data. You can do a simple query like this, add it to your article, and share your work. You can start sharing in public. It leads to that that is the essence of this tear down today, to show you that you can do you can start writing queries even as a beginner before you start going to the very heavy, complicated dashboards. So let me go to the next query. So it's taking a while. So I'm going to go to the next query, which is the average fees per transaction on Arbitrum. So it's taking a while to load. Yeah. So this so you can see the price in Ethereum is very, very negligible because um it takes into account the current Ethereum price. So and you're paying 0.00003 Ethereum for this thing, for a transaction. It's very, very negligible. And another thing is that transactions are paid in ArbF, that's Arbitrum if. So users need Arbitrum if to carry out transactions. So they know they don't pay in the Arbitrum native coin, that is ARB. They pay Hello, can you hear me? If you can hear me, just let me know in the chat box.
Yes, loud and clear, Gloria.
Okay. So so sorry about that. It's network that's trying to be funny. Anyway, as I was saying, so Arbitrum weekly um average fees, weekly transfer volume and average fees, but I just decided to do average fees. So we have select. So of course, we are going to use select from and where. So I tried to I wanted it to I wanted it to be weekly because I didn't want to measure the daily fees. In that I didn't want it to be too I didn't want my information to be too cluttered. I wanted weekly. You can also use monthly too, but I think I wanted weekly because I was working with daily. I wanted to see, oh, if there are transactions from this day to this day, maybe from Monday to Friday of this week, we can be able to see like how much was spent within that week. It's just easier for me, but monthly still works well. So I named my block time as week and then count. When you want to count, when you want to, I use things that are individual, you use count. I don't know if that's clear. If you want to use things that are individual, then you sum all of them. So this gave me a bit of an issue when I was writing the query. Sum and gas used, and then counting it as average gas per transaction because I wanted to capture the gas that was used in each and every transaction, um not just maybe send transactions. When you have bridging transactions, you have swapping transactions that are not necessarily sending crypto to anybody, but they will incur fees nevertheless. And then also have to know that I'm doing historical data, so NFTs too. A transaction for NFTs to also appear here. So I try to use 1/1. This is the decimal, 18 decimal that I used for this. Um, and then I told you why I wanted it to be in Ethereum. You pay in ABF, and also I'm looking at how it is affecting Ethereum as a whole. Then I also wanted it to be a round sum. This is just like making the query more efficient from Arbitrum transactions. So remember, I used this table when I was doing my I used this table when I was doing the lifetime value or the total number of transactions that have ever happened in Arbitrum, that's 2.4 billion. Then block time, I started at 2021 because Arbitrum launched in 2021. I did not want to I could not find the exact date the testnet started. And I wanted to capture all the transactions. What I was seeing was mainly mainnet, airdrop. I wanted to capture everything. So I just said, you know what, let's just start from 2021. I'm very, very sure that as at 2020, Arbitrum was not existent. So that's why I just said, "Oh, let's just use 2020. Let's just use 1st of January 2021. But if you have like a very specific date, like you know that these people launched their testnet on this day, because this also takes into account testnet transactions, you can use the date. You can use the particular date. So then group by one and then order by week in um descending order. So this is what I got, but let me show you my query results. So so this is what I got. You can see it is because the order is in descending. So the week we are in, week of 9th March is where we are. You can see the transaction count. So I didn't want to present all this information on a table, on a dashboard, on a visualization because I felt it was going to be too much. Like I said, what I was checking for was just basic stuff, but I had a lot that had not represented on the dashboard. So we can see the transaction counts and we can see the average gas per transaction and the total fees in Ethereum and the average gas fee per transaction here. Like this is measured in Ethereum, right? So we saw it was 0.0003 in Ethereum. So you can see some weeks like this week it was 2, this week it was 4, this week it was 8. That's Christmas week it was 8. It hasn't I don't think we have anyone that is 1. So you can see this one was 0.02, that is be very expensive because it's times 10 of this other week. So that's why I said I used weekly so that I can be able to estimate when I was looking at my daily transactions than monthly. Monthly will be more condensed, but to me, I don't feel it to tell me the complete story that I wanted to tell with my data. So you can also see the average gas that is used per transaction, and they can see the transaction count. So you can see that having more transactions on Arbitrum, because this is 41 million. Yes, this 41 million. This is 41.5 million transactions, and the average gas still stayed at 0.03. We had 11 million transactions in this week that we are in, and it still stayed at 0.03. So more transactions does not really translate to higher transaction volume. Not like what we were seeing in Ethereum in 2021 and then 2021, whereby if there are a lot of users using Ethereum at a time, it would be you have to pay higher fees. I think I've also seen it in Solana. For some of us that have traded meme coins last year, you could see that when there was a meme coin that was trending and a lot of people wanted to buy it, you would pay higher fees on Solana, or slippage would be more. But on Arbitrum, we can see from this data that that's not the case. Um, so moving on. So that's how I just did this. So what I just represented was just the I just used the dates and the total fees in Ethereum. I did not represent the transaction count and average gas per transaction in any visualization. I think I could add that later. I just wanted something very simple. So the next one we're going to be looking at is yes. So we have done the first two. So what we're going to be looking at next, okay, we have looked at weekly fees in Ethereum. So that's how I also came up with this number. It was from the same. It was from the same query. It was from the same query that I came up with this number of 0.003 as the average. Okay, so let me just zoom this. So I'll just click on this query. We are almost done. We'll be done in the next 2 minutes. And yeah, so let me just zoom my screen a bit. Yes. So yeah, so for this one, this is daily transaction count on Arbitrum. This is daily transaction count on Arbitrum, and I labeled it here daily transaction count. So our select statement, our date. So I since you are using daily, I decided to use day as my time count, and then from Arbitrum transaction. So all my information came from this table, Arbitrum transactions, where the block time count. Like I said, I did not want to miss out any transactions, so I used 2021 of January, and then this one. So this transaction is really simple. So let me just show you the results I got. So this was the visualization, and let's get to the results. So we can see the daily transaction count. If you want to present your information in a table too, I mean that's fine. But you can see that on Arbitrum we haven't had a lot of transactions. The highest number of transactions we've had is um okay. This one I didn't order it in ascending or descending, but so the information is just here and there. We have 1,750 rows, so that's a lot. And we can see in June 2021 we had like 3,000 transactions, but this um it increased basically because we had 48, we had 74, we had 18 on one day. So um that's I didn't order it, so that's why it's a bit scattered. So now let's go to the last one, the all-time daily active addresses on Arbitrum. So this one too is very simple. It was that one that I had to do the query that was very complicated. So we have the transaction the counting as from daily address. So I wanted it to be distinct because I did not want to have duplicate addresses. You do not want to have duplicate addresses. So that's why I made it distinct from. Then Arbitrum transactions where I got my transactions, my block time. So this one I tried to use 5th of I tried to use May because I wanted to get I wanted to filter out earlier transactions that were testnet, and I wanted to filter out dev transactions and all that. I wanted to get like when real users. So from my estimate, when real users came to the network. So then order by day. These are the results here, and you can see that there was a surge on in 2024, but after that, like I explained earlier, um, it has been relatively stable. Yeah, so this brings me to the end of my data teardown. I don't know if there are any questions or feedback from the community.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Gloria. That was amazing. Guys, can I see some encouragement in the chat section? Because I mean, it's not easy and she has done so well. So, if you have any feedback for Gloria or any questions, feel free to ask in the chat and we will take it. While that is being done, I'll just ask Gloria a few questions. So, don't worry, it's not something huge. But, like, if you were to build this dashboard again, what will you do differently?
Okay, if I were to build it differently, if I built it again, I would have used I think I would have included more visualizations because the like the second query that I shared, yeah, the second query I have a lot of information that I see now that it could be visualized. I can get like two other visualizations from it, and then probably I'll add like some fancy introduction about Arbitrum, make it a bit more colorful. Still beginner friendly, but a bit more colorful.
Awesome. Okay, that was a nice response. So, while you were working on this dashboard and this particular project, what would you say was the most challenging part in doing the project? Was it the data, the queries, or I know you mentioned something about a little bit of challenge you experienced in
Mm-hmm.
getting the data.
Yeah, so it was when I was getting my weekly transactions in Ethereum, I had to like count and do the sum. Like when I said you have to sum and sum again. It was really challenging because at a point the query was not returning any results. I had to start troubleshooting the query, check what's wrong, or I was asking myself, should I just like look for some other metric to measure? But yeah, eventually it worked out.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you for that response. So we have a question from the audience and it's it says how long did you work on it? So how long did you work on your project?
Okay, for this query, it took me about 2 hours to work on it. But if I want to add ideation and just thinking about it, maybe like 3 hours. But 2 hours for like the raw work of like let's start writing the query and doing the visualizations.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I mean, you've done exceptionally well today. Very proud of you. So, guys, do well to give Gloria a follow on her X as well as her LinkedIn. We're a community, so we are all called to encourage one another, right? It's not easy, and she has delivered amazingly well. And she's just a fresh alumni from our SQL program, but look at what she has been able to pull because she's constantly building, she's constantly showing up, and it has really, really been an amazing one. So, thank you so much, Gloria, for honoring our invitation and for doing exceptionally well today. So, moving on to our announcements. Okay, tomorrow we have the March community call. So for every one of you who are here, even if you're new, feel free to join us and we'll be having it in our Telegram group. So we have a Telegram community where very soon we would no longer be utilizing our WhatsApp, but every activity that we're going to be doing will be done on our Telegram. So we are all encouraged to get into the Telegram group and show up tomorrow by 6 p.m. UTC for the community call. So what's on the agenda and how can you get prepared? We have quizzes. Of course, we've been running this for the past 3 months. So where we have fun quizzes with our community members, student spotlight, right, community wins, and of course open floor for where you can ask your questions about the community, ask your questions about Web3, and also get feedback. So of course, there is also the Python cohort 2 that is ongoing. Our students have been doing well. This is week 2. Then for our ongoing SQL program cohort 7, they would be beginning their mentorship program come next week. So we also have the Refer and Earn program, and that is still open. So if you want, feel free to register, because it is when you register for our next upcoming programs, right? We That's when we are going to be really um applying this. So you get to earn 5% commission for every paid referee, right? That you For every paid referral, sorry, that you refer to our paid programs, right? So then we also have our testimonial forms, community wins forms, where we are encouraged to fill it out, right? So fill it out, guys. Share your wins with us as a community, and we want to also celebrate you as well. Then we have the Become a Blockchain Analyst SQL registration waitlist form. So for as many of you who may be interested in our program, particularly the SQL one, just like if you want to do something like what Gloria has just done, which is so beautiful once again, you can just do well to join us, right? You can join ahead by registering for our waitlist, and you would get early information about when the program will be beginning. So I will be pasting the links to the various activities and registration forms that I just mentioned now. So you can check the comment section for it. If you're a community member and you're here and you have something to share with us that has recently happened to you in the space, feel free to share it with us in the testimonial form, right? And we'll be willing to celebrate with you. So moving forward, yes, meet Sage's Lab, our flagship organization. So, what is Sage's Lab? Sage's Lab is our, like I said, our flagship organization, basically the primary organization, and it is a research and development hub building on-chain data-driven solutions. And the likes of Analytic Sages, which is us, right, is under Sages Lab, under the umbrella of Sages Lab. Then a few others are the Intelli Sages, which a lot of you must have already been familiar with us, right, where we deliver blockchain data intelligence, consulting, and advisory to accelerate Web3 adoption across Africa. So it is the research arm of Sages Lab. Of course, some of you have also registered for the upcoming cohort 2 fellowship program, where you run for 3 6 3 to 6 months, right, depending on what you want for yourself as a fellow in IntelliSages. Then, of course, I would encourage each and every one of us. Let's say, for instance, you must have missed registering for this particular cohort for the fellows, where you get to learn how to do proper research in this space. You get to work in teams, right? You could bring out reports and all of that. Feel free to register for the next one when it drops. So, of course, there is Fluxo, and Fluxo is the autonomous intelligence agent in Sage's Lab, where the focus is mainly on DeFi, and it provides autonomous private intelligence that understands the market and executes high value strategy without information leakage. So, guys, I also encourage you to feel free to follow us across these platforms, right? And thank you so much for tuning in. That's all. This was brought to you by Analytic Sages, where intelligence is greater than hype. Thank you guys so much. Once again, thank you so much, Gloria.